Now users within our application have full CRUD functionality with their tracks. They can create, read, update, and delete them. But to add some interactivity with the tracks that users post, to allow other users to interact with tracks that a given user has posted, let's add the ability to like tracks. So to begin work on that, class called like. And again, to create a database table for them, we're going to use models.model. And likes are going to consist of two fields. First, a user field. This will be a foreign key, just like our posted by field on track. So to the to argument, we're going to supply the get user model, just like we did there. Once again, we'll provide a second argument of null set to true, and then on delete will be models.cascade. So each like now references the user that liked a given track. So we know who liked something, but we also want information about the track itself. So we'll add a track field, which will also be a foreign key. And to get access to the track model, we can just use the string tracks.track. Now here for the second argument, we're going to provide a related name. And this means we're going to allow, when we query for tracks, we're going to allow them to get information about the likes that have been put on a track. This will make more sense in a bit. So in the same sense that likes will be able to have information about the track that was liked, each track will be able to have information about the likes that it has on it. So as I said, kind of an inverse relationship. And we want this field on tracks, when we query for tracks, to be called likes. And once again, we'll include our last argument of onDelete. So again, we're updating our models. So we need to run our two commands, make migrations and migrate. So within app, we'll run python manage.py, make migrations. So we have our third migration for our like model. And then we'll run python manage.py migrate. And then we see those migrations were applied. So next we want the ability to create likes, to be able to like a track. First we'll start up our server once again. And since we're including like within our tracks application, we'll work within schema.py within tracks as well for making this create like mutation. But first, up at the top, in addition to importing track from models, we need to import like as well. And since our new like class requires information about the user, we'll bring in from users.schema user type. So down at the bottom, underneath delete track, let's add a class create like, and it's going to have two fields. First, a user field set to graphene.field, and it accepts the user type, and then a track field which accepts the track type. All we need to provide to create like, the only argument we need is the track ID of the track that the user is liking. So for class arguments, we'll have our track ID argument. Again, it'll be an int, and it will be required. For the resolver, it's going to have self, info, and track ID. We'll get our user from info, and we want to check to make sure we have a user. So we'll say if user.isAnonymous, get by its ID. We'll put it in a track variable, and we'll say if not track, if for whatever reason we can't get this track according to its ID, we're going to raise an exception saying cannot find track with given track ID. Then we're going to take the like class that we brought in from models.py, and we'll say like.objects.create, and we need to provide to it both the user as well as the found track. And finally, we'll return our two fields on create like, user, and track. Now we'll save schema.py, and we'll head to graphical. We'll refresh and make sure, oh, we forgot one important step. We need to add in our base mutation class, create like, set to create like.field. So again, this mutation is not going to show up in our Documentation Explorer if we don't do this particular step. So we'll save once again, and now we'll refresh once our server starts up. And now we have create like. If we try running this mutation, we should get an error. Let's try liking the first track. And on create like, if we look at the return value of create like, we try to get track information. Say for example, we try to get the track's ID. Should get an error telling us to log in to like tracks. However, if we take this and head to Insomnia, making sure we have a valid JSON Web Token on our authorization header, we paste that in, and here from the track field we'll try, in addition to its ID, getting the title, and for the user we'll get their username. If we try running this by hitting send, we should have a like created, and we should have returned to us information about the track that we liked, as well as the username that liked this particular track. In the next video, we'll take a look at querying for likes, as well as adding a likes field when we query for our tracks.